Hello, everybody. I am Nahshon Dion. I am African American and I identify as Afro Latin. I am transgender and my pronouns are both, I go by both he and she. And I am bronze and I'm wearing my natural hair tonight. And there is a yellow background behind me and I have on a purple kimono. Tonight I'll be reading a uh, creative nonfiction. It's an essay, and it's titled "I Love You, Timothy Michael Dean," and it is soon going to be published in the Black Femme Collective. It wasn't until weeks later when Timothy called me that I realized he was a hustler. The very person whose ads I read over in Frontiers magazine. Credit cards accepted. Is it your turn to play with something dirty, raw, and wild? And WeHo's nastiest black sex and sleaze pig fucker, and sleazy escort. I specialize in all types of hot and piggy safe sex options to extremely unsafe bareback fucking pig play and all types of party and popper, pause, and P&P sex fetishes and role play. Redheads, beefy, chubs, daddies, pigs, hairy men are all turn-ons. Oink, ding. On Sundays, I love to frequent Venice Beach so I could prance around in my thongs and show off my ass. It was there that I met a dark-skinned man who hanged outside his apartment in holy biker shorts. His name was Jerry, aka Jay. He was in his mid-50s and hustled by giving massages in his apartment. As our friendship developed, he bragged about the sexy young guys he massaged and the cash he earned. As a struggling actor and someone determined to be an entrepreneur, I decided to hustle too. Like Jay, I bought a massage table. Like Timothy, I advertised in Frontiers. In the beginning, I averaged a client a week. My eager earnings paid for future advertisements in skincare. My marketing campaign evolved. I began to advertise my massage services in AOL chat rooms, the LA Express newspaper, and years later on Black Planet, Craigslist, Arrows, and Backpage. I described myself as slim, bronze, and beautiful. I also wore wigs and went by the names Natasha, Keena, Lillian, Joy, and Mrs. Fanny. I obsessed over my new business, got a thrill each time a new client called. I wanted to attract closeted married men who desired a safe, discreet, and erotic massage. As my piggy bank filled up, my wig collection grew, and earnings allowed me to reinvest in my business by paying for larger advertisements. A few years later, while out running errands, I ran into Timothy on the 217 Metro bus. He told me that he was attending Santa Monica City College, that he was originally from Florida, but relocated to California in 1982. Unlike the night he met, he was quite a gentleman. There wasn't even the slightest indication of how raunchy he was or how kinky we had been together. I was turned on, and his new demeanor, it added mystique. I invited Timothy over to my place, but when he arrived, I still needed time to freshen up. I asked him to wait downstairs for a while before I could let him in. He grew very impatient and threatened to leave. I tried to seduce him into compliance. I promised to French kiss his asshole so he would beg me to fuck him. Moments later, he entered my apartment and stripped down, revealing a harness on his back. I had never met another man like him. He was my dream come true. I loved how erotic and nasty Timothy was. So much so, I hoped we would have more times together. But other sexual partners, traveling, and time caused us to lose contact. Around my mid 20s, I learned that drug use and abuse was prevalent and common amongst gay men. Slamming is a term used among gay men for injecting drugs such as methadone, GHB, or crystal meth. By my 30s, I learned that drug use was also widespread amongst the transgender community. On one occasion, when I lived in West Hollywood, I attended a crystal meth anonymous meeting with a friend, and the room was full of white gay men. As a sex worker who was often preyed on by white men, I had been offered just about every drug that exists. But after an incident in 1997, when smoking weed with a stranger led to a shootout in my car, me semi-handcuffed, and both of us shot with his gun, I never did drugs with anyone I didn't know. In July of 2017, while roving about the country, I heard the tragic news regarding Jamil Moore, a 27-year-old African-American gay sex worker. He was found dead and naked at Ed Buck's Laurel Avenue apartment near my former home in West Hollywood. Despite pleas for criminal charges to be filed against Buck and daily protests at his doorsteps, he was not arrested. I was not surprised. An affluent 64-year-old known for his donations to various Democratic Party candidates, his animal rights activism, his whiteness, and his wealth protected him. In his diary, Jamil wrote that Buck had once injected him with crystal meth and had paid him to let him do so. I honestly don't know what to do, Jamil wrote. I've become addicted to drugs, and the worst one at that. Ed Buck is the one to thank. He gave me my first injection of crystal meth. It was very painful, but after all the troubles, I became addicted to the pain and fetish fantasy. Jamel continued, my life is at an all-time high right now, and I mean that from all ways. I ended up back at Buck's house again and got manipulated into slamming again. I even went to the point where I was forced to doing 4 within a 2-day period. This man is crazy and it's sad. Will I ever get help?